Kirk Cousins, the backup quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons, his market has vanished. And we're going to get into why. ESPN's Jeremy Fowler reported on SportsCenter on Sunday that Cousins viewed Pittsburgh as a possible landing spot in a trade. But Aaron Rodgers, we talked about on Thursday, is going to be leading them to the promised land. The quote from Jeremy Fowler: Kirk Cousins was hoping to get out of town, be a starter for a new team, and he looked at Pittsburgh as he could be potential plan B for them. Well, that's off the table, and it is a dry quarterback market for Cousins to try and get in a trade. We got to look at past this a little bit further now. Who the hell even wants a quarterback? Who wants Kirk? Why would he go to another situation to be a backup when he's already getting all this bread to sit behind Michael Penix? There's actually probably a higher chance that he gets onto the field if something goes wrong with Michael Penix with his injury history than him going elsewhere. He's not going to go to the Browns. They already have too many quarterbacks. The only team that's unsettled is the Saints, and they're not going to trade him in the division. It just doesn't happen.
The Colts, I'd say, are also a little unsettled after the latest from Richardson.
Yeah, but why would you add another slappy into the mix?
I don't know, because that's what these NFL teams do. Why would the Giants add Russ Wilson and Jameis Winston? 2 slappies. These teams
do the third slappy McGee
and then draft King slaps. These teams don't have a good slap dick meter, and it's not good for them, and they keep on failing. So Kirk Cousins, again, I want him keeping Michael hydrated. I want him making sure all the reads are right, and that his helmet is where it needs to be when he's on the bench and getting the reads. And I want him with that clipboard. Kirk sounds good. That's got a good ring to it. But Kirk Cousins' next team is going to be it'll be the next team that has a massive quarterback injury that could be contenders. It's not going to be a bottom feeder team. It's not going to be a team that just we don't really have a great quarterback. Let's pay a bunch of money for Kirk. It's going to be a team that ends up without a quarterback in the first 6 weeks of the season, and then you make the Kirk play. That's the only way he gets out of town is desperation, and we want to keep our season alive. And we're going to roll the dice on Kirk Cousins.
We obviously can't sit here and try to predict who do we think is going to suffer a really frightening injury. But you're right. That's the only way that he gets out of town right now. That also doesn't happen every single year. There's maybe the potential before the trade line if a team's got a really good defense and their starting quarterback is ass. Like theoretically, that could happen with the Colts. We could get to the trade deadline and Richardson's bad. They've benched him, and Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones. We already all know that he's awful and has no instincts. He's got the instincts of a wood plank playing quarterback back there. So if they quickly realize, hey, why the hell did we spend all this money? Maybe they could go make a move. Instead of going backward to Richardson, you at least stay in the mix. There's potential for their defense to be pretty good this year. I just don't know if there's really that strong of a chance that this could happen. It kind of sucks. I know you hate Kirk Cousins, but it kind of sucks that Kirk Cousins doesn't get to have a decent end to his career. I feel like pull back for a quick second. Okay, because you know what you just said right there. I know you freaking hate him because of what happened with Atlanta this
his lies.
Year. You're biased. He throughout his entire career.
Well, it's not biased. It was lies. That's
yeah, but you're obviously more biased than hating him. I want
Kirk on the team. I don't want Kirk to go anywhere.
No, you want him on the team. Him staying on the team is my whole point. Is him getting screwed over and him getting the short end of the stick.
Yeah,
every step of the way for him, he has not been fulfilled. He has not earned. He's not been given what he had earned, is what I mean to say. Washington gets on the field, plays unexpectedly well after the whole RG3 injury and him not being available. He should have been paid and given a big contract to build around. They don't do it. They toy with him. They do the whole franchise tag thing for multiple years.
It was nasty.
It was incredibly nasty. We see him go to Minnesota. His time with Minnesota ends extremely ugly with him moving on and going to Atlanta. And the first thing that happens when he signs this big contract and he goes to Atlanta, you claim that he was the villain in the circumstance. He still is not getting on the field and he gets benched in the middle of the season for Michael Penix. He hasn't gotten the real chance to ever really sit and prove himself I think he's had some amazing moments in his career. But at the same time, at the end of every single stop, it has ended very poorly.
Kirk's best stop is Minnesota, and he did get to prove himself, and we got to see the highs of Kirk Cousins. And with that, when we saw the highs, when we saw that he had the consistency and he had the offense and the wide receiver one and a couple running backs and a decent, at times, defense in Minnesota, we got to see, wow, Kirk can throw for 4,500 yards in a year. That's great. And then he goes to the playoffs, and wow, Kirk just didn't do anything in this game, and that was exceptional to lead us to a Super Bowl. So he got a full run in Minnesota, and I'm not going to let you say he did.
He did.
He did have a full run, and that's why we knew exactly what everyone knew what was going to happen in Atlanta with Kirk Cousins. Like it was going to go like how it went, which was really good start. There's a lot of optimism, and then it falls off. The wheels fall off, and if we want to attribute that to Achilles stuff, then it's Achilles stuff.
It was Achilles.
But we saw the same thing happen in Minnesota when he didn't have Achilles stuff. We just did. There's a reason Kirktober is a thing, and Kirkvember and Kirksember are tragic. But Kirktober, very, very fun and good. Like that's who he is as a player, and he hasn't changed. So I wouldn't expect him to change, and you know what you're getting with him. And Atlanta thought that they needed more for the future. And I appreciated them taking Michael Penix, even though it was nasty work to do so and draft a first-round quarterback.
Obviously.
It was nasty, nasty work to do that when you just signed Kirk Cousins to be your new leader. So I will acknowledge that forever, even though I support the pick, like the pick, even if Michael didn't turn out well. Well, it's still only Kirk Cousins. I'm not doing a legend of the game dirty. I'm just doing a good quarterback.
I know. I'm not trying to.
He's made $500 million, Joe.
I'm not making him out to be some legend that was so impactful and so pivotal for the history of the game in the last 10 years. He's a big part of the 2010s and 2020s. It's not true. It's just not true. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that. But he's somebody who could have helped the team win a Super Bowl. He absolutely could have. But they've fallen short every single time, and he kind of just gets shoved out. Washington was where he got screwed over the
Washington
most.
Was the worst. And that's why Kirk has been a baby face, because when Washington was reporting that Kirk was being greedy in his time, and they were going press release for press release, and it was getting nasty with the agents and the coaching staff, and it's why won't you just pick Kirk? And then the next year he goes and balls out, and the tag is even higher, and his contract would have been even higher. So they botched it, and then they did him wrong 2 straight years afterwards. But he had full opportunity to be vindicated in Minnesota and go on a deep run. He did have that. He had that full, real opportunity.
Right. They made it to the NFC Championship game while he was there. They just never finished. They never got the job done.
No. And that's something that Kirk is going to do. I don't feel bad for Kirk Cousins. I want Kirk Cousins on my team. 1, to punish him. Yes, I will wear that. I want him to be punished. But 2, I like having him as my backup quarterback because he can do that role, and he can be even healthier now than he was at the start of last year.
What are you going to do in this theoretical situation? Michael Penix goes down with an injury. Kirk is fully healthy and repaired. His Achilles is back to normal. He can actually drive the ball off of his back foot, all that good stuff. He's better than everybody realizes. What are you going to do if he steps in and he starts slanging it and he starts playing really well for a couple of weeks while Michael Penix is getting back healthy? What are you going to do?
Well, if we can get Kirk Cousins to be back in that pocket slanging it, then maybe I'd even give Felipe Franks a shot. Because if they can turn that bag of garbage around, then I'd like to see Felipe get a real opportunity.
So you wouldn't give Kirk an ounce of credit if he stepped in and started playing good?
He would have to start going nuclear. And honestly, like similarly to last year, if Andy Dalton had kept the pace of that first game that he played in Carolina back, after they benched Bryce Young, and he had 3 touchdowns, 300 yards, and it was like the first time in 18 games that a Carolina quarterback had gone over 300 yards. And it was Andy Dalton, late stage Andy Dalton. If he had kept that pace up for the next 3 or 4 games, Bryce Young doesn't come back in for the rest of the year. And I think Carolina fans would have been happy with it. Similarly,
Andy Dalton was pretty crap after that game. We suddenly realized, like, this does not solve any of their problems, and that was just kind of lightning in a bottle.
But if Kirk did 303 touchdowns in 4 straight games, and Michael was healthy for the 5th when he could come back, I'd start Kirk again, because I'm not going to rush Michael Penix Jr., and I'm not going to divert away from a hot hand. You just can't do that. You can't, because you still know Michael's the future. Of course he is. But if you have a quarterback that is just flowing, you have to let it ride.
Oh, it was against the Raiders. That now I'm remembering this now that Andy Dalton stepped in and it was like, whoa, 319 and 3 touchdowns.
Red zone was
70% completion percentage. Whoa.
That was a big day. That was
like,
a huge
Bryce
day.
Young's really is shit. He couldn't do anything. And here comes Andy Dalton in this offense. No, he was playing against the Raiders.
Yeah.
Everybody needed to. And then he couldn't. This is when everybody needed to realize, like, oh, that was just a really odd circumstance. And it was a one quick shot in a bottle. And Andy Dalton's actually really, really washed. Was that against the Bengals the following week? He went 25 of 40 for only 220 yards, 2 touchdowns, and an interception.
Yeah.
Everybody and their grandmother was throwing for 400 yards against that awful ass secondary. You couldn't go over 250, Andy. So
wait, why is he Andy in the barrel now?
I'm just saying.
Andy Dalton did nothing wrong.
But okay, to get back to Kirk though, I can't wait for this to happen because as much as I love Michael Penix, he is a bit injury prone. He's been injury prone in his career in college. He suffered serious injuries. Kirk's might step in at some point. Maybe even if it's just for a half or a quarter.
It's fine.
When he looks unbelievably good, I'm going to need you to eat those words.
When Kirk does?
Yeah.
Oh, I you know what? I hope he looks good when he's stepping in for the second half and Atlanta's up 42-7. Just maintain the lead,
we both
pal.
know that that's not going to happen.
I know. It's
Be
going
more
to
realistic.
It's okay. Michael rolled his ankle, and now we have Kirk down 3 for a quarter and a half, and he gets us up 7, and then somehow subsequently down 10, and then we lose. So that's how it would happen. And there's going to be a fumble. He's going to put that ball on the. I'm not going to call out a first game, first appearance Kirk Cousins interception. It will happen, but I'm not going to call it.
He's going to be.
I'm calling the brutal Kirk Cousins can't move out of the pocket. Fumble ball on the dirt.
No, because that's not how sports work. Sports don't work that way. When something like this happens where he suddenly gets onto the field, he's going to be amazing.
No, he's going to be amazing.
Because then it's going to make every Falcons fan, including yourself, flustered because you don't know how to handle it. You don't know how to handle.
What do you mean? I would know how to handle it.
I don't think.
Look at it. Oh, I'd be taking I would actually.
I'm going to make sure we clip this and pull this back.
Please do
for that future moment.
I will attach a nice little thumbnail that says best backup in the league, and then we're gonna have a nice little video there, and it's gonna be Kirk Cousins like a champion.
His former team though, he had